Welcome back to the channel. So the last time we started on this belt sanding fixture, so it will go like this on the belt sander. Then there will be holes in here with pins, so we can put a small piece of metal on here and we can round the end of it, and then we advance the handle back here just a little bit. It'll move the table up, and then we can keep working our way to where we can take small parts and round the end on them. You can do that on a rotary table, but it is more difficult on really small parts to set that up. So that's what this fixture will be used for, is to do that on the belt sander. So we got these pieces are screwed to this, and then these pieces are screwed to the top, and then we got our dovetail machined in there, and we've got our gib machined in there. So we've got it to where it slides, but now we need to get a screw in here and a handle so that when we turn it, it'll move it back and forth. And then the front piece here I made removable, so there's actually a screw through here that holds that, and there's a screw here and here that holds these outer pieces. So you can replace this piece if I run into a situation where I run out of holes for pins, then I can make a new aluminum piece here just to bolt on there, so I can drill new holes for new fixtures. So in order to get the screw, I've got this random screw here that we're going to use, some all thread. It'll go in here. So we need a way to capture it, and I've got this piece of scrap aluminum that we're going to start with. So what we're going to do, I'm going to super glue this to the end here and flush with the bottom. It's a little bit long right now, and then we're going to drill and tap, and we're going to bolt it through here to these pieces here, to the end rail. And then more than likely I'll end up cutting this out, cutting this piece out to fit these dovetails. If the fixture only ever needed to come back to here and work on the front side, it wouldn't matter, and I think that's fine, but I'll probably go ahead and cut that out. So if we ever want the top piece to come farther back, then we have that option. So I'll get this super glued on here, and then we'll get these holes drilled and tapped and get this section bolted on here. And then it's a little bit high, so we'll get it machined down and then get it cut out for these dovetails, and then get a hole drilled through the middle. So our screw will go through the middle, and then it'll be captured on the back side, and then there will be a handle that we'll make that'll go on the front side, so then it can't move. It's going to be locked solid to the bottom piece, and then we'll have to make a nut that attaches to the top piece here, so when this moves, it moves the nut back and forth, and this will move the top piece back and forth. But we'll get this in attached first.
Street Market in Intermission welcoming Sam Banfield today. 185 King Street in Park, presenting Travis Wilson Friends with Becky Yetta and Mike Pacino, Tuesday, June 17th at 6:30 p.m. The Purple Onion in Saludo welcoming Michael Reno, Thursday, June 19th at 7:30 p.m. Friends of Downtown Hendersonville presenting the Rhythm and Groove Concert Series featuring Big Daddy Love and Letters to Abigail, June 19th at 5:30 p.m. The Town of Boone announcing the Boomerang Music and Arts Festival, June 19th through 22nd, featuring Adam Church, Occupation, Larry Joe, and others, WNCW's media sponsor. The Great Eagle Nashville welcoming Seth Walker, Friday, June 20th. The Town of Jonesboro, Tennessee presenting their Music on Despair Series 2025, featuring Roxanne and the Big Bad Buzz, Friday, June 20th at 7 p.m. Pennsylvania County Library presenting the Summer Concert Series featuring Jack Holden, Friday, June 20th, at the Library Amphitheater or indoors in the event rain beginning at 7:30. WNCW's media sponsor. Disco Brewing in Black Mountain presenting Pomposio's Summer Secret featuring Moon Rouge, Resident Language, and more, June 20th and 21st at 6 p.m. The Summer Tracks Concert Series at Rogers Park in Tryon, North Carolina, welcoming the Amiga Band featuring members of Free Mind Radio, Friday, June 20th at 7 p.m. Little River Roasting presenting.
Okay, so I got the end of our threaded piece here turned down to 1/4. Got it installed in there. And then I've got a brass piece there just as a washer, kind of as a thrust bearing. And then I had this knob that was threaded on the end, but I cut that off and then drilled it out 1/4 inch. So this will work good for our knob here on the end. So I need to drill and tap this for a set screw. So at that point we can turn the screw. Then we need to make a nut. I've got a scrap of brass here that we're going to cut a piece off of. And the nut's going to look something like this. It'll be square, so that square will ride in this trough here. And then it'll be drilled and tapped for this screw. And then there will be a little peg sticking up here. So then on the underside of this, about halfway or so in the middle here, we'll drill a hole, and with an end mill, we'll make it a square bottom. So that peg will stick up into this top piece. So when we turn this, the nut will move back and forth, and then it'll be attached to this top piece, which will move it back and forth. I've also got a selection of pins here that we're going to go ahead and put in the end. I'm not sure what sizes we'll need, but I'm going to go ahead and put some common sizes that I use. Then there'll be a little bit of room left over if we need some more holes later, or like I said, you can replace this piece here in the front if you need different pins. Or you could make custom pins too if you wanted to turn the top down to a certain diameter and then turn the bottom down to a hole size that we had here. So I've got a 3/8, 5/16, 1/4, 3/16, 1/8 inch, 3/32, and a 1/16. So we're going to start with those holes, get those drilled and reamed out. So the pins will stick in here as close to the edge as we can get them. So as we're putting a piece on here to round it, we need to be able to go all the way to the end here without the end of our piece hitting the belt sander. So we'll get the nut made, and then get these holes and get the pins installed. And then I've got another scrap piece of aluminum here that needs to be machined down to fit the slide on the table. And then that's going to get bolted to the bottom. So then we can put it on the belt sanding table, and then that'll keep it square. So we'll get all this machined up, and then I'll bring you back and we'll be ready to try this out. Okay, so I got the nut made. It's hard to see, but the brass nut is in there. If you remember, it looks like this. So it captures the top plate here. And turn the knob. It's hard to see because it's fine thread, but it's moving the table. So we just put a set screw in here to capture the end of the bolt. And then I've got I took just a selection of pins and went ahead and drilled and reamed the holes here for some common sizes that I think I might use. And then I tried to leave them 30 thousandths from the end here. I'm not real sure exactly what I'm gonna need until I use it a little bit, but then I've got room if I need to add pins. Or, like I said earlier, this plate here unbolts, and then we can put a new plate on here if we need to for additional pins. So to show you how this is gonna work, I've taken just a random piece of metal here and drilled a 1/4 inch hole in it. So this will register on here, and we're going to put this on the belt sander, and then we're going to move it to where it just barely touches the corners here, and then we'll just we'll work that back and forth, and then we'll turn this, move it in just a little bit, and turn it a little bit more until we get a nice radius on the end of this. So if you imagine this is a linkage piece that you need to round both corners. A few different ways to do this. I've laid it out in the past with a scribe and then bandsawed a lot of it out and then done it by hand. Or you could set this up on the rotary table and do it with that. But it takes a lot of time to set that up and get everything centered. And this will be a lot faster doing it this way. And this larger stuff is not as bad on the rotary table, but you get into some pretty small stuff. I've got a 1/16 pin on here. You get into small linkage and it's really hard to set that stuff up on the rotary table. So let's get this thing set up on the belt sander and see how it does. Okay, so that worked pretty good. You can tell that I didn't do a good job getting my hole centered. And this piece is not cut straight either. It was just rough sawn. But that, I did a good job. So let me put the piece on there and advance it forward and just swing it back and forth. Just be real careful because your fingers are near the belt. Then advance it forward. And then this is backwards than normal because this is a right-hand screw, so it's a little bit different than what you're normally probably used to on a slide. So that worked good. I didn't bolt it down to the table. I hadn't decided yet if I want to. If you bolt it down to your table, then you're going to be using for each pin, then you'll be using the same spot on the belt. So I would like the freedom to be able to slide it back and forth. And it works not bolted down, but I think it'd be a little better. So I might come up with something that extends out to the end here, or maybe replace this and something I can clamp to the table and still be able to move it around and not wear the belt out in the same spot. So this works good. We are going to probably use it on the next project. I got an upcoming project that's got some really small clevises on it and some linkages that need to be rounded off. So this will work good for that. So until next time, thanks for watching.